Hey, it's John Nolan here. One of the most important things in my life is the health and the well-being of my family. And one of the products that we absolutely love to use and have had amazing results with is Z-Stack. It's Dr. Zelenko's Immunobooster, and it really does the job absolutely well. Now, as most of you know, Dr. Zelenko recently passed away, but he's left behind a legacy with Z-Stack and his other products, and also the Dr. Zelenko Freedom Foundation. So every time you purchase Z-Stack to help boost your immune system and the immune system of your family, 10% of the profits will also automatically go to the Freedom Foundation. So I encourage you to check it out, Z-Stack by Dr. Zelenko. Use the link and the coupon code in the description, save, and also help the foundation. Hey, Inspire Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. How's it going? It's John Nolan here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for liking, for subscribing, and for joining us on all the other platforms that we're on. Today I want to do something a little different. As you know, I do love to go by facts. I do love to present what I see as factual and then inject a spiritual thought to it, inject a greater perspective to it. But today, I want to really share something that is more of intuition than it is actual facts. But I do believe if you follow me that you're going to find this not just interesting, but maybe even accurate. And it all happened because I observed my cat over the last few days. Now, really, this thought is from way back when, from years of observation and from a really big question that a lot of people have asked themselves, especially over the past 2 years. So as many of you know, there is the thing called Agenda 2030 or the Great Reset. And, many organizations that are on different ends of the spectrum that all work towards a common goal, which is to transform society, economy, culture radically, and it has to happen by the year 2030. And the weird thing I was asking myself is, why 2030? What is the big deal if it doesn't happen by 2030? And what if it happens in 2035? And this urgency, I think, triggered a whole new way of observing things. So I always asked myself this, and the other thing is, when you go into a little bit into history, when you look at architecture today, when you go into the folklore and the fairy tales and the sagas of different cultures and countries, you realize that these tales always entail a much greater variety of beings on Earth than just humans and animals. There's giants in these stories, and there's dwarfs in these stories, and there's fairies in these stories, and there are so many different creatures and beings that we don't perceive today. We don't have them in our world today. But I always thought that these tales are not just fairy tales. They must be true or have at least a lot of true elements in them. And so I asked myself, what happened? Where did all these beings go? They didn't exactly disappear. You see, I was in Iceland some 15, 16 years ago or so. And Iceland is a very interesting country. And I got to stay in what you might call today Airbnbs. They were just bed and breakfasts and very, very small hotels. And I would see certain sections of the house that had very low doorways, very low ceilings, everything made for little people. Now, when you inquired about that, the owners of these hotels were very shy to talk about it, didn't really say anything, just kind of made it a funny remark and just left it at that. But what I realized is the culture there is so built around that it must have a real physical element. But why don't we see it? Why don't we perceive it anymore? And so I came to the conclusion, first, that our senses have been so programmed into perceiving only very few things of our true reality that these beings still exist. We just don't see them. Now, that is one part of this equation here. I do believe that. But I asked myself, how do you program every or almost every human being on Earth? How do you limit their perception so the vast majority of people do not perceive these beings or see them with their eyes, right? I mean, we've talked about this before. Visible light is only perceivable to us at less than 1%. So 99% of whatever is out there in terms of light, we cannot perceive. Why? Why would the Creator create such a broad spectrum of light if we can only perceive 1% or less of it, right? Same with the audible senses, same thing, right? Whatever is there that can be heard, we only hear a very short, a very small spectrum of it. So then I thought, okay, we've been programmed, but how, right? There must be a bigger picture here. And a few days ago, I made an observation. I watched our cat baby as she would sit on the stairs peacefully, right? Just chill out and sleep. And all of a sudden she would jump up, run across the room, run into the other room, jump on a chair as if she was being chased by something. And she was sitting on a chair and looking up and down and looking left and right. And I said, what is she looking at? She sees something I cannot see. And she would jump off again and run again from something, and then it would all calm down, and that would happen over and over and over again. And so eventually I reached out to the people that used to live in this house, and I asked them, hey, did you guys by any chance have a cat? And sure enough, the lady told me, yeah, we did have a cat, and he ran away. And he was an instigator, she said. He would always have some mischief on his mind. And that's exactly how the interaction between our cat baby and this invisible cat that probably is in the spirit realm now plays out every time. So I thought, okay, I can't see it, but the cat can. Of course, we all know cats have different senses, see different things. We already know that they're very sensitive too. But then I asked myself, I've heard the stories many times, there's a grid. I've heard the story that there's a grid, and that this grid actually keeps us in this perceptual reality. It's kind of like the Matrix, right? It keeps the mind caught in it. And so I thought, man, every now and then when we go deep into meditation, when we go into deep introspective, when we truly focus and activate all of our properties, and when we activate the pineal gland, we break through the perception of this matrix and we perceive more in a broader spectrum of things, realities, truths, beings, colors, everything. And immediately a thought came into my mind. There is an artificial grid. There truly is a grid that suppresses our perception on Earth. That truly, and every now and then, this is the interesting thing, every now and then I think something breaks down in that grid. That's the glitch in the matrix. Every now and then one of these trends, whatever they are that send out the signal, maybe breaks down, and so for a short period of time people have weird sensations and perceptions that are inexplicable. So two conclusions have come out of this. Why I even want to talk to you about it. I think there are two things we need to do. Number one, and we've been saying this for a long, long time. Number one is truly reawaken your real inner properties and capabilities. That goes through meditation, that goes through cleansing, being in nature, really elevating your thoughts, elevating your vibration, tuning in with the truth vibrations, and training your capabilities. For example, intuition or remote viewing, or if you have someone in your family that you can do this with, train yourself in reading each other's thoughts, right? And really get into a balanced and clear state first, kind of maybe meditate together, and then really train like you would anything else. Okay, think about something, focus your mind on that thought, and now I will tune in and I will read your mind. In time, you will see that you will become connected and you will be able to do it. So we need to do this because I think breaking free from this grid, and I'm going to get into the nature of the grid in a second, breaking free from this grid will require a lot of inner work, laser sharp focus, and even willpower and discipline. It's really important. We need to optimize ourselves to break through it, right? But then my second question was, but that cannot be the solution. We have to somehow bring this grid down because I don't think it's natural. I think it's artificial. It might be a sort of frequency or radiation that we can't even measure, or we don't have the instruments to measure. It might be of a nature that we don't know of yet, so we wouldn't even be able to detect it, right? But what I'm thinking, what my thought process here is, if we truly optimize our capabilities, our intuitive, our real sense, the sixth sense, if we bring this up at a high level, then we will eventually see whatever this technology is that it's being used, and we will see how we can actually bring it down and destroy this technology, because I do believe there's this element to it that this grid producing technology needs to be eliminated, transmuted, or completely shut down and destroyed. And so we would have to figure out what that is. So I'm calling on all of you, not just for this purpose, but for the purpose of freedom and sovereignty and true liberty for mankind, is to really go into optimization mode. Optimize your life, your input, what you consume, what you eat, what you drink, what you think, what you feel, what you hear. all those things, bring them into a harmonious state, and you will see that you will get guidance on how to break through this grid and then maybe even see where the grid is coming from. I have theories. I believe certain technologies being put in place right now in front of our eyes because, and this is where it leads to 2030 and the urgency. My theory is, and we've talked about this with various guests on our channel, that actually in or around that year, there would be a natural event, a naturally occurring event that would either break down the grid or help us reignite our true capabilities to the point where we could see so clearly and we could see so beyond the matrix that these dark forces powers could not manipulate us any longer and keep us under control. Current developments speak to that, and the urgency with which they are pushing their agenda speak to that as well. There must be something 7.5 years from now that they believe will happen, that if they don't pull the vast majority of people into their matrix, artificial intelligence, into a hybrid mode where they alter their genetics, where they alter their perception, where they alter their thought processes to an extent so that they will be completely controlled. I think if they don't succeed in that, by 2030, the latest, we will have this ultra event that will help us. Might be solar. I don't know exactly what it is. This is just intuition that tells me these things. So I do believe we have a window of opportunity, and that's right now, that we need to take. Activate, do the work, the prayer, the meditation, the calibration, the balance, all of these things. So this is my I don't want to call it download, but this is my intuitive thought for today. It feels like a new dimension has been opened. For some reason, the dots just got connected, and I've learned to act on these strong intuitions. Please let me know down in the comments how you feel about this. Do you have anything to add to this, or do you see it maybe in the same or maybe in a different way? Have you had similar experiences? Just let us know down in the comments. Thank you so much, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, for tuning in, for being here with us. We love you, we appreciate you, and we'll be back with you again very, very soon.